Hello again! Doc on the clock with more Make a Good Mega Man level contest 2, and by now you've probably seen the multiple creator commentary videos, so you're probably familiar with the stage overall. So what I'm going to do, instead of what I do normally, is first I'm going to go into the comments. Pyro wasn't much of a fan. She liked some parts, but she didn't like the parts that slowed things down. The Rush Jet section. That is every judge's complaint as complaints with the Rush Jet section. Yes, that will be a running theme. Also the vertical section. I've also gotten a lot of less than stellar responses to this. Instant death is the issue. So yeah, Pyro was frustrated by the slowed down parts. Actually, everyone kind of had the feelings, that similar sentiment. Lots of fun with the fast-paced sections, not so much fun with the slow-down ones. Angel, similarly, but Angel gave me a very high score for this one. Actually, the Sakugarden section that's just hit and miss for people, but it was definitely a hit for Angel. Gary, 40 out of 50. Gary didn't like the Sakugarden section, but he liked most of the other stuff. Ace is pretty much on the nose here. Do I hate this level? Do I love this level? I have no idea. This level I can only compare to Marmite. You'll either love it or hate it. I haven't had Marmite, but I presume he knows what he's talking about, and he knows what he's talking about with the level because he wrote a novel on it, but also because this is a level that has been, that some people consider one of their least favorite and other people consider their favorite. Probably, honestly, in terms of comments I've seen on it, probably the most divisive stage actually in the contest. Very creative. You like the double speed, although it was weird to play. Enemy set, yes. Ace, I admit it completely. The enemy set was pretty much whatever I felt like slapping in. In fairness, the entire point of it was that it was supposed to be kind of chaotic and disorganized, but I will agree that that does lend itself to some issues. But yes, some of them are annoyingly placed. Overcrowding. Actually, I honestly wish I'd done that with the Rush Chef section. Either chose enemies or destructible blocks. I would have gone with the destructible blocks. I'll go into that more when I get through it. I'll defend this, though. I like the wheel cutter, Noble Nickel. I like that. Good force beam usage, not something you get. So, you've seen me play through this level or in various incarnations multiple times. What am I going to talk about? Basically, what I'm going to talk about as I go through the level is Retrospective. What, in retrospect, do I like and dislike about my stage? Overall, I'm still like and I'm happy with the stage, but there are things that I definitely wish I had redone or rethought. For the most part, this opening sequence I like because it gets you used to kind of the different, gets you used to the physics and the ideas. I'm not happy with this Noble Nickel, because I find it very, very difficult to get to without dying. Well, another thing I'm not happy with is all the spikes that I put in. I got caught up in a rookie trap. I made my stage 2 reliant on instant death, which wasn't what I wanted to do. Also, I'm not going for the E-Tank up there because I'm full up, and because I die more on this than other people I see. So overall, this first section I'm pretty okay with, except for the Noble Nickel and the conveyor spikes. And this. That didn't happen when I was testing. I don't know why it's happening now. Also, I don't know why I suddenly went off to the left there, because I didn't press left at all. Yeah, my idea here was a Wily castle that you were escaping after you've initiated the self-destruct sequence and beaten Wily. I still like that idea. I still wish that we'd actually have to do that. It was kind of inspired by the Game Boy games where, you know, Mega Man was doing an escape sequence, but you weren't really doing it. I thought, what if you actually did have to do that? And of course, I wanted infinite weapons because I wanted to encourage weapon use. And I wanted double speed because I love double speed. See, you were supposed to be able to drop right off that ladder. I don't know why that doesn't work in this version. These, my custom, shot-triggered force beams didn't work in the, first build of this. Oops. I wish I'd made that cue a little bit more obvious, because I want to make sure people are able to use this. Okay, second section. What I don't like about the second section are first these drop platforms. I wish I had made those solid from the start, because I think just having the drops, the acid drops, is enough of a challenge. I like this. I still like the conceit of this, but I wish I had made it just a touch easier. Also, I don't like my placement of the enemies in this section. Way too cluttered. This needed to be a lot less thick. Now, one thing that is not my fault, but I'm still unhappy about, is that this was supposed to be something you could pop through and jump through, and it's not. The reason it's not is because Entity went in and manually retiled the entire stage to reduce the amount of lag, which it very much did, and I'm very glad he did it, but I think he tiled that solid accidentally rather than top solid. Which I'm just a little bit disappointed that it doesn't work the way I intended it to, but you can still go back up through the original way you went. So, there's a way out of it, at least. And no, I haven't played this in a while, so I'm gonna die a couple of times. Well, I'd die a couple of times, probably, anyway. But yeah, way too crowded in this hallway. I would take out the enemies entirely until you got to, like, this point. I like this, though. I am still very happy about this. Over here, another section which I wish I had used more solid platforms instead. Really, not everything needs to be a death drop. Also, this used to have two platforms right above each other. That was buggy. But if I just made those solid in the first place, it would have been better. Now comes regret. This section. I wish I had been able to figure out how to speed up Rush Jet. Also, I wish I had been smart and done this the way that it's supposed to be done. If I'd been able to figure out how to speed up Rush Jet, this would have been basically spikes and Rush Jet. No hazards in the way. Why is everything going left? But I couldn't figure that out, and so I decided to do an obstacle course instead. And this was the least liked section by the judges. Because it's so slow and everything else is so fast. And it's so cluttered. Honestly, what I would have done going back is if I had kept in the Rush Jet section at all, which I probably wouldn't have. But if I had kept it in, if I did keep it in, I'd keep it in with, like, just the obstacles. Just the walls. So no enemies that you have to deal with. Sakugan section, I'm happier with, because it worked out actually better than I thought it would. Although I'm still a little bit annoyed that I've got too many spikes that are not working the way I want them to. This Noble Nickel, though, does not work as well as I wanted it to. I wanted that to be a jump on top of those acid droppers, but it's just so finicky. And I tried replacing those so many times, repositioning them, and I could never get it to be consistent. I'm glad I have the missiles there, because that's the secondary way of getting them. And yes, you can bounce off the explosions. I didn't program that in. I don't know how to not program it in. I don't care. It's funny. Alright. So that was this area with some regrets. Also, I guess I wish I had put in a couple of spots on the Sakugan section that were a little bit, that were safer, so you could use E-tanks. More regrets. The vertical section. Why did I use so many frickin' spikes? Why? This does not need all of the spikes in the world. In fact, this should have, like, no spikes in it. I would have gotten rid of basically all of the spikes in the walls and the floor there. And I would have made it so I don't use Super Arrow. Because Super Arrow apparently is a little bit finicky and doesn't work all that great. This guy I should have just taken out because I can't get him to face the right direction anyway. What I would have done with the vertical section, I still wanted a vertical section. But this one is too slow because it relies too much on Super Arrow, which is not fast. I just failed miserably on that. And that's why I shouldn't have used Super Arrow so much. Also, I wish I'd made that wire attachment thing a little bit more prominent, because I don't think most people caught on to the fact that you're supposed to use wire in there. But this should have been more of a lot more of a back and forth thing where you would make more use of your lateral momentum, which is enhanced, as opposed to your vertical momentum, which isn't. So I probably would have done something more like, I'd use some of the Kazakh ones, but, Kazakh platforms, but more riding up and then going back and forth, and using Galaxy Man teleporters. I should use Galaxy Man teleporters a lot more there. I still like my spike drop. I think it's a fair spike drop. The first version of the spike drop was not. And I still very much like this Noble Nickel. Yes, Ace, I will argue with you on that. I'm sorry, but That is just what's gonna happen. I also should have used more Sparkman platforms, because those are quick rising platforms. And I would have gotten rid of like most of the enemies here, because the enemies really don't do all that much for this stage, or for this segment. Actually, really, a lot of the enemies don't do all that much for this stage. And I would have reduced that number, but although not completely, because I still need them. There to be some danger. I love this last section. I will always love this last section. It worked out so beautifully. And it was meant to be a breather section because you've just gone through like 4 different Wily stages in compressed format. It doesn't have to be difficult. Let the player go out with a pretty simple method. Also, I'm very happy that these missiles are completely and utterly useless. I love how this part worked perfectly the first time I did it. And here we go! The laser chase! It is possible to flash stop your way through this, but it's meant to be a laser chase. And no lag here, because there was so much lag originally. And thus, we have my stage. And so, honestly, I do like this stage. There are a number of things that I wish I had done differently that I think would have made it a more popular stage and would have reduced a lot of the frustration factor. But conceptually, I still like it, and I'm still happy with how it turned out for the most part. Keep in mind, this is my first ever stage created for anything, and I fell into some definite rookie pitfalls. I'd love to make a kind of a revamp of this stage, but I don't know how that's going to work because it's in a different engine now. Maybe someday though. But I'm very happy to have gotten as high as I did on my first ever attempt at a stage creation. And, you know, I think I can do better. I think I can take what I learned from this one, because I know that I made mistakes. I can improve on those. And I already have my ideas for my next stage that I want to submit to the next contest, which is coming up. I'm not going to reveal exactly what it is, but I can guarantee you it's going to improve on this and be the very fast-paced run-and-gun performance that I want it to be. And who knows? Maybe I'll be inspired by a lunatic or something. But I think we've seen enough of me. Next time, Comet Woman is going to be the lead-in for... Hee, better be careful, MAGMMML. We wouldn't want you slipping and falling off now, would we? I have a feeling that text is supposed to sway, and it is not. Next time, we're going to go to another expert. Skipper! With his stage. What's it going to be like? Well, we'll just have to find out. Until then, this is Doc. I'll see you later.